Well, and the team was so humble, too, because, I'm sitting there having this conversation with them, and I'm like, this is so cool. This is, the public would love to see this. They would love to hear more about it. And they're like, oh, well, this is just normal stuff.
We just do this
is what we do every day. And I'm like, but it's so cool.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Another great show for you today, and I'm excited to have Mr. Don King helping co-host.
Yes, Jason. Hey, we're going to break tradition today.
Okay.
Normally, at this point, we kind of highlight a radio partner, of which we have 23 across the state.
That's awesome.
But today, let's do TV, okay?
Okay, gotcha.
We've got Wilson County TV, located right there in Lebanon. We've done some live stuff with them over the years, and Teresa Bush, the manager there, has us on the air at 7:30 in the mornings and 7:30 p.m. pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can always watch us if you would like to do that. And hey, it happens to be right in our special guest's home county. So
yeah.
Hey, timing is everything.
That's a great transition.
Yeah, what do you say?
I'd like to introduce Emily Buck to the WildCast crew out there and everyone watching and listening. Emily is our new communications and outreach director. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad we could tie that in, Don. That was a good tie in there.
Well, hey, she's only like a couple of days into her second week, but we've already had her out in the boat with us doing some promos, and man, it's great to have her on board, and looking forward to great things.
I'll tell you what, yesterday I got some really good barbecue from some of the fisheries folks out in West Tennessee, so I'm already spoiled.
Oh, all right. Yeah, they know how to cook and grill and fry stuff for sure.
Yeah, we've already had you out and about and all over the place. Got you a sunburn on the boat, and got you roped in. She's no stranger to television, and we'll get more into that today. But she was played a part in our PSA shoot the other day, so that's great.
Yes, that was great.
Let's jump in real quick and just highlight the e-store real fast. I want to let people know that you can get one of our hats. We've got mugs and bottles out there, stickers, and all kinds of fun stuff on our e-store at shop.gooutdoorstennessee.com. So you can pick up swag there. And also just wanted to highlight Free Fishing Day is coming up June 11th. So
yes,
it's right around the corner.
Yep. Make plans now to find an event close to you, or just go to the closest body of water to you and wet a line that day. It's the one day of the year you don't need a fishing license, and a great time to take the kids out and maybe expose them to it if you haven't already.
Exactly. And something that's great, if you go to gooutdoorstennessee.com, you can log on to that site, click events, and it'll pull up all those free fishing events. They're being uploaded into that system. There's a map there where you can kind of see a pinpoint of where they are, and it's good information.
Yeah.
Find one near you.
Very good.
So, all right, that's all the PSAs for now. Emily, glad you're here with us.
Thank you.
Let's learn a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about where you came from and what brought you to TWRA.
Well, like Don said, I grew up in Wilson County, out there in Mount Juliet. I went to school at Wilson Central, where I was very involved in FFA and 4-H, and I was even in the marching band.
All right.
What instrument?
I don't play an instrument. I was in color guard.
Okay.
I had been in dance before I got to high school, and so my sister was in the band playing the flute, and my parents were like, hey, can you consolidate your extracurricular activities? Because I was involved in way too much stuff, right? And I was like, well, I guess I can dance around with the flag, and that was some of the most fun of my life. So I joke that I'm band adjacent, but I really loved Wilson County. What a great place to be from. I'm proud of them. My family also farms out in Robertson County in Adams, home of the Bell Witch, if we've got anybody who's superstitious listening to the show. But we raised cattle and dark fire tobacco most of my life, and really proud to be from that farm and agricultural background.
Awesome. Yeah, and you mentioned agriculture. You did a lot with 4-H and things like that as well, right?
I did, absolutely. Wilson County has such a great 4-H program, and I showed sheep, market lambs, and commercial ewes growing up, which teaches a kid a lot of responsibility, I think. It was a lot of hard work, and there were some days where I was like, why am I doing this? It was summer out in a show ring, and it's 98 degrees in Tennessee, but I really love that, and the folks that I got to meet from across the state. And then also something that really contributed, I think, a lot to my career in both 4-H and FFA. I did a lot of public speaking competitions, and that's tricky. A lot of people say public speaking is their number one fear, and here we are doing it for a career.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect, I think, but you get used to talking, I guess, and so really grateful for that opportunity as well. But really proud of that agricultural background, and rural America is such a beautiful place with such incredible people, and especially rural Tennessee, which we're proud to call home.
Right.
There's a big cross there, I think, too. I mean, because, people who love to hunt and fish, love to be outdoors, or probably live on a farm or near a farm, and there's a good cross there of hunters and anglers and people who like to show animals and things like that and be involved in those outdoor activities. And I remember growing up, I did the 4-H speaking, and always planted food plots with my grandpa, and right now my son's showing, doing the chicken chain and things like that. So it's great. 4-H is fun.
Yeah, and also was very involved in FFA. So, of course, for folks who may not be familiar, 4-H is 4th grade on through high school, and then there's collegiate opportunities as well. And then FFA starts when you're a freshman in high school, and then carries on with more opportunities through high school and into collegiate level, and of course alumni activities as well. But I was a chapter officer there, again competing in a lot of public speaking events. Also, quick shout out to my FFA advisors, Pam Palmer-Walker and Benny Jo McDonald out there at Wilson Central. We were the state land judging champions. So there's something not public speaking that I was involved in for sure, but handy if you're ever going to build a home site, which I don't think I will, but just in case. But was a chapter officer there, and then eventually was state FFA president in 2010 and 11, and that's a group that I still try to be involved in to this day.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed with FFA, especially the officers. We've had occasion to meet quite a few coming through the agency here, just on tours and that kind of thing. And a lot of times they'll be up at the ag campus touring a lot what's going on there, and they'll send them down to the agency, and we'll give them a little tour here. And I'm always impressed with the young people coming through that program. Solid, salt of the earth, very, very, very solid people.
Becoming a state officer is a very competitive process, and they have quite a big handful of students that run for that every year, usually as they run as a senior in high school, and then they serve freshman or sophomore year of college. But they go through a 3-day interview process.
Wow.
On a panel that includes industry leaders and I like to joke, a jury of their peers, because there's FFA students, active students on that board as well, to help choose those officers, and then they get a ton of training on how to represent the organization, how to network with industry leaders like TWRA and the Department of Agriculture, and of course business folks out in the community who have a vested interest in young people. I mean, we have to keep in mind something for our industry as well as agriculture. Those young people are future workers. So workforce development is really critical to ensure that A, we don't lose those kids to other states, but B, that we're training them up in a way that they can be successful in careers later on.
I think that's a really good parallel with the kinds of folks that we try to encourage to seek to be wildlife officers, for a career. I know you'll be heavily involved in helping let the students, the potential students, be aware of what kind of classes and programs and things they need to be involved in, through not only just high school, but along into college as well, seeking those degrees that are going to set them up perfectly for a wildlife officer position.
Absolutely. We were promoting this most recent class of wildlife officers. We've got 23 coming in who I've heard from the folks who interviewed them. They are incredible. Just a really powerhouse team. And, one of the questions that we got a lot when we posted that promotion on the website, on social media, why do I need that wildlife degree? And, a lot of times people just don't realize that our wildlife officers, our law enforcement team, yes, they are enforcing the rule of law, but they're also interacting with and dealing with a lot of wildlife out in the field and on the scene. And so it's important that those young people who are interested in becoming a wildlife officer have that wildlife degree that really makes sure that they're safe and that the public can stay safe too.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to get all kinds of questions. You know, they're going to get those questions. What kind of bird is this, or what kind of animal is that, or, you know, why is the regulation like this? You know, and they got that background, that education, and
species of trees.
Yeah.
You know all kinds of questions.
Yeah, so it's important. It's important to have that degree.
It's fun to go to lunch with a wildlife officer in uniform sometimes because you usually get to eat, but usually the wildlife officer, he might be interrupted a few times, you know, during his lunch period.
I've noticed you stand in a group of folks, and whoever's got the patch or the badge, you know, they get the question.
Right, right.
He looks like he's the official guy. Let's ask him or her. Let's jump back just a little bit. So after your high school and being involved in those programs and things that you in college, I guess you went to UT, right?
I sure did. I went to the University of Tennessee, and this is a little weird for a director of communications, but I actually have an animal science degree, which I'm very proud of. But when I was very involved in FFA, and something that I really fell in love with was ag policy. And my dad had been involved in ag policy and was with USDA and the State Department of Agriculture. So I grew up sitting in the back of conference rooms listening to him talk. And you know, I've been very blessed to have some really incredible mentors from the industry from a very young age who knew me when I was just a little kid. But so grateful for their leadership, but I fell in love with that too. And, you know, something that we talk a lot about here too is it's so important to advocate for your own industry. You know, we want young people to be excited about hunting and fishing.
Right.
We want lawmakers over in Nashville to understand why wildlife conservation is important for the state, and of course the public as well. But all that to say, fell in love with politics and policy. And so I said to myself, I'm going to go do ag policy. And there was not an ag policy degree at the University of Tennessee. There was one class, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. But so they basically said, you know, get whatever degree you want. And again, my family was raising cattle. I was like, well, I'm going to go get an animal science degree. And I had been showing livestock. And I was like, well, worst case scenario, I'm going home to raise cattle if I flame out on everything else, which, don't get me wrong, what a great job to get to raise livestock. Sometimes I wonder why I put myself in an office when I could be out on the farm working and hanging out with livestock. But anyways, fell in love with ag policy, and so I was active on the livestock judging team in college. I was involved in a sorority, Pi Beta Phi, which really was an incredible experience. And our philanthropy is Read, Lead, Achieve, which encouraged young people to fall in love with reading. And so, of course, when I would go into those elementary school classes to read books, I'd be taking books about agriculture and where does your food come from, because so many young people are so disconnected from the farm these days.
Right.
And from the outdoors, you know, so being sure that they understand, well, what is going on in the outdoors, and where does your food come from? That's so important. But kind of made my way through college doing some of that ag stuff. And after college, I was very grateful to be hired to work for a member of Congress, Diane Black, as her field representative. So I had 8 of her 19 counties, and my job was to just be out there in the community networking with stakeholders. So, of course, listening to community members, but also businesses, trying to understand what they needed to be successful. Local leadership, county governments, what did they need to be successful, and how we could help with that. And so that was a really incredible experience to just be part of the community. Yeah. And I got to do a lot on rural and ag issues. So grateful that she gave me that opportunity, and she was an incredible mentor to me.
Wow, that's cool. And then you moved on to Washington, D.C.
Wow, that's a big city.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
From the country to the city. Yeah. That's about 2 extremes right there.
And let me tell you what, I took my cowboy boots up there to that hill.
There you go. Good job.
I got a few crazy looks sometimes, like, what's that girl doing in cowboy boots at the Capitol? But you know what? You have to stay true to your roots. That's for sure. But yeah, so
well, it fit the role, I think.
That's so true. So how I got to D.C. So after working as congressional staff, I made my way over to RFD-TV. So RFD-TV is a national cable channel that is the only really source of agricultural and rural TV across the country. So many of our television stations, our cable providers are moving away from that rural content, which is so sad for people who love agriculture and the outdoors.
Right.
You know, because they want to see content they care about.
Right.
Which is part of the reason I'm really proud to be on this team now, creating content that our folks care about. But so I started out as a producer, and they had to teach me everything I know about TV, and so I'm really grateful that they put that effort into me, because I knew a lot about the content, but not so much about the TV side. But started out producing on our show, Market Day Report and the Rural Evening News, and then eventually I was writing the show called FFA Today, which of course is about FFA members. Really exciting to work with young people to highlight successes and the career opportunities that are in their pathways. And then the pandemic happened, and a lot of things changes for a lot of people. But the young lady that we had up in D.C. as our D.C. reporter went home to California, and I was in my boss's office, and she jokingly said, "I wish you would go," because I mean, it's very weird to have a combination of political experience and ag experience and TV experience. That's very niche.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
But she said, "I wish you would go," and so I said, "Well, why not?" So I moved to DC during the pandemic, which sometimes I question whether that was a good idea or not. But I learned so much, and it really was incredible to be able to work with farm state senators and members of Congress who were so gracious to me, and our friends at USDA and EPA and U.S. Fish and Wildlife on the legislation that they were working on that was important to viewers and listeners, because RFD-TV also simulcasts on Sirius XM 147. So really just some incredible opportunities up there. And then, you know, eventually the pandemic calmed down a bit, thankfully, and we were able to have a little bit more fun up there, seeing the sights and getting around to events.
Good
That's
deal.
cool. Yeah, and then I think all of that, all your experience is great leading up to this new role, and I'm excited that you're on board, and excited to what we're going to be doing in the future. We've already had, like I said, opportunities to get out and shoot some video and put together some great stuff for internal communications, external communications. So I'm just curious, what's the new role look like, and what are folks going to see out there in the field? What's going to be coming out of the communications and outreach department?
Well,
not to put you on the spot, but you know.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's been my priority from day one, which we're just now on week 2, so it's not been too many days. But it's been my priority from day one to listen. You know, I think communications, it's so important that it's a two-way street. So I've been listening to what our staff is concerned about, what they've heard from folks out in the communities. We're going to try to do a good job of listening to our viewers who leave comments. So if you're listening now, feel free to leave comments or let us know what you want to see, what you want to hear from. You know, we're going to try to do a good job of listening, because, you know, I sometimes joke, in a complaint, there's a solution. So we're going to be looking for solutions. But really, to me, you know, I think people don't realize all of the incredible success stories that TWRA has, you know, with conservation, with, you know, just yesterday I was out at the annual fisheries meeting where they were highlighting some of their data about reducing Asian carp species out in West Tennessee, which is an invasive species, restoring lake sturgeon numbers, which are classified as endangered. And they're just presenting all this to each other as data. And I'm sitting here like, wow.
This is a gold mine.
Yeah. I'm like, there's so many stories in here. And how exciting the work that you're getting to do. New genetics to have bigger bass. Everyone loves a big trophy bass, right? You know, and that's the work that our team is doing. And it's not getting heard. It's not getting told. And we just have to we can all work together to be sure that the public knows just how TWRA is working for you.
It's great to hear you say that, because, you know, I've been here 21 years full-time and quite a few years before that part-time, and I still learn something every week I learn 3 or 4 new things to go, wow, I didn't realize our agency did that, or that this has been so successful. And every now and then you meet, I'll say a seasoned hunter or angler out there, and they'll say, you know, you don't realize it, but these are the good old days. You know, you hear a lot of people reminiscing about how great things were back then, but, you know, these are some of the best times we've ever had as far as wildlife populations. You know, there's some Asian carp issues, there's some, you know, there is CWD, but on, you know, by and large, it's really way better than what it's been in previous decades.
Yeah. Well, and the team was so humble too, because, you know, I'm sitting there having this conversation with them, and I'm like, this is so cool. This is, you know, the public would love to see this. They would love to hear more about it. And they're like, oh, well, this is just normal stuff.
We
like,
just do this
is what we do every day. And I'm like,
yeah.
but it's so cool. And maybe that's my perspective coming from the outside, you know, and I think maybe that could maybe bring some energy to the team, because, you know, when you're an expert on something, when you see it every day, you sort of start to just think of it as routine,
right?
You know, and for the public who doesn't get access to that every day, they think it's awesome. They think it's cool. They see what you're doing and how it can help the sportsmen of this state and the outdoor enthusiasts. And it really is. It's just giving those folks a window into what we do here. I think can really just shed a positive light on how important all this work is.
I love it when an officer or a biologist shares video with us or sends us a photo of something they've seen in the field,
right,
or they've done or experienced, you know, because people, they don't see that a lot of times. You may run across an officer every now and again or a biologist in the field, but a lot of times people don't see the work that they're doing or the animals you come across or things like that. And it's great to share those on social, and people see that and they're like, wow, I love that, you know. So if we don't tell our story, who's going to do that? You know?
So we'll be working on highlighting those success stories. But another thing is we really want to help empower our boots on the ground, our folks out in the field, to be able to do their jobs more successfully. So you sort of hinted, we were out on the boat yesterday having a great time in the sun, which, again, I am already having so much fun at this agency. What just a great opportunity to have some fun while working. That's everybody's dream, is to have fun while you work. But we were out there with the boating law enforcement officers working on a new campaign to prioritize being a sober driver, a sober skipper when you're driving a boat. And, you know, we were out there with Captain Matt Majors, who was sharing just some from his heart how difficult it is as an officer to see accidents, to see people, you know, hurt and in trouble. And, you know, he doesn't want to see that. It's his job to see it. And we're so grateful that we've got such great officers out there keeping the waterways safe. But, you know, he doesn't want to see it. And so we're working on putting together communications materials that can really help educate folks on being safe out on the water. So, you know, a big part of our job, too, as the communications division is working to support our team to be sure that they have all of the tools in their toolbox to do their job as well as they possibly can.
Yep. Well, we've kind of hit on the new role. We've heard a lot about your background, but what do you like to do in your free time? I mean, do you love to fish, hike, hunt? What's some of your hobbies? What's some of the things you like to do when you don't have to work?
You know, it's funny how COVID changes your life, and a lot of people picked up new hobbies during the pandemic when you're stuck inside. You know, I read a lot. I really love to read a good fiction novel. I love things that I couldn't think of myself. Sci-fi and fiction, just it really helps stretch your imagination, I think. Love that. A big fan of arts and crafts projects, and actually it's funny, so I do enjoy fishing. I have been hunting a few times. I have a purple camouflage compound bow, which might get me laughed at by some of the serious hunters, but you know, why not be a little cute when you're out there hunting?
Deer are colorblind, so it's okay.
That's right. But yeah, so it's been turkey hunting, but it was not successful, that poor compound bow, because it was wielded by me. But maybe I'll get some better practice now that I'm here at TWRA. But I do enjoy fishing, and actually got into fly fishing a little bit. Back in college, I had a friend who wanted to get involved in fly fishing, and so he said, hey, Emily, you're good at arts and crafts. You think you could learn to tie flies for me? And I sort of looked at it and I was like, well, why not? You know, that's a fun arts and crafts project. So I got all my materials. I went and picked out. And so when I first went, I guess it was to Bass Pro to look at stuff, and I was just overwhelmed. And so I'm immediately picking things that are like shiny and bright colors. So I make it back to the house with all this stuff. And then I looked at the instructions, the little how-to video on how to, and I was like, well, I'd grabbed nothing that I was supposed to grab. And so actually I did have everything that was, it actually was like a deep sea fly, which we don't need in Tennessee, right? But it was this big pink kind of shrimp like fly. So I had some like deep sea flies that I made, but eventually I read up a little better on, you know, what might do well in an East Tennessee stream.
Right.
Because now my family is in Knoxville, so I get to claim them too. And we do love the mountains up there, and we love to hike. But I am looking forward to, now that I am in TWRA, getting to get out there and sort of revive some of those skills that I have had a little bit of experience in, but probably need to do a little more.
That's cool. So did you catch a fish? Was there a fish caught on one of those flies?
The flies have been successful.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
Good
my technique probably needs some work, but again, I'm just going to keep tattletaling on myself. I also have a regular pink rod. So I got a purple bow, a pink rod, but you know what? We're always looking to recruit more women and young people into hunting and fishing, and so from my perspective, like I said earlier, be true to your roots. You know, if you want some cute gear, you know, to go hunting and fishing with, you can do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. We're proud to have women be part of outdoors sporting, and you can look cute while you do it, no problem. But you can also wear whatever you want to wear. So, but we just encourage young people and women to have fun while they're out there.
Yeah, it's important to introduce those new people to the outdoors. Those young people, women, men who never been out there before. Get them out there, show them how it's done.
Right.
That's what it's all about. That's one of the, I guess that's all of the R's in R3. You recruit, retain, reactivate, get people out there that have dropped it, and introduce new people. And anyway,
Emily, great to have you on board.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have come to our agency with a better last name than Buck. It's like it was written in the stars.
I've got a lot of Buck decor, which I'm going to bring into the office as well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, Emily, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're just jumped in and you got people pulling at you all different directions. So thanks for taking time out for us. Thank you for coming on board. Looking forward to working with you and excited about the future.
Yes.
I'm blessed to be on such an incredible team, and we're really looking forward to doing some great stuff. And like I said earlier, if you've got feedback for our communications team or things that you want to see from us, let us know and we'll be sure to work on it.
All right. What's that email address? asktwra@tn.gov. So you can send us emails there or comment on the below the show here, and we'll get your information over to Emily, and be good.
Yeah, perfect.
Don, thank you.
You bet.
This is Tennessee WildCast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.